You have the Mishnah? Kuf Chavtas? Chavtas by that, Chavtas on base. We're by Othru, which is 6 lines from the bottom. The last one in the line. That's up to Othru. Osu Tmina Mibnei Kira. They forbade. This is a new tack. Yesterday we said that you're not allowed to add to be matmin b'davar mosif hevel. You're not allowed to do atmana, something which adds heat, lest when you take it out, so stuff starts sliding back into the hole, and you're gonna have to move it in order to put it back and be matmin again. So that was yesterday's approach. Today's approach is somewhat different. Still not really like the Bavli. Also, Tmina Mibnei Kira, they forbade to do atmana in something which is mostly hevel, because you might come to then put something into a hot oven, which is also forbidden, right? Unless you was group of a keduma, unless it was the ashes were it was covered with ashes or the coals removed. Asru Kira Mibnei Tmina, and they forbade also putting stuff into an oven. Into an oven from before Shabbos, because maybe then you'll come to do hatmana, right? Maybe you'll come to do hatmana in something which actually has bona fide coals in it, and come to rake the coals on Shabbos. So basically, everything here is a catch-22. It's not clear what the cause and effect is. Everything is basically also because of everything else, which is an infinite number of gzeros to Rabbanim. Well, not infinite, a significant amount of gzeros to Rabbanim, gzera l'gzera. Okay, gzera on top of gzera. Also, kira shablam, what they forbade a oven which has a small amount of heat, mimnei kira shehavlam merubah, because of ovens which have large amounts of heat. Also, tavshu sheni is bashal kol tzorko. They forbade doing a hatmana or a shiur in leaving something in the oven by something which is fully cooked. Mimnei tavshu sheni is bashal kol tzorko, because of something which is not fully cooked. Also, chamin, they forbade doing hatmana in hot water. Lest you come to do as a result even something which is fully cooked, which is itself exer, lest you come to do something which is partially cooked. That they felt was going too far, so they were being matmin in hot water. Okay. Tani, we learned, however, ain't one is not allowed to do hatmana in hot ashes. Rabbi Zera said that's pretty obvious. The chiddush is the flip side. Hadamra teaches us Efer Shetzonan, if you have cold ashes, Mutzah Lidman, you may do Atman in the cold ashes. Ke'adah, similar to the following case. Baited Rabbi Yanai have a Mishamish Kumei Avoy. The daughter of Rabbi Yanai was serving in front of her father. Vav, it seems on Shabbos. Vavas Malas Kumein, she brought before him Tavshilin Roschin, boiling dishes. Amar Lo, so he said to her, Hey Savita, how did you get the dishes to be so hot? Amar Lo, so she said to him, Kamra, it should be begifta, not vigifta, but bigifta. I put them into gefes. Gefes, of course, is peat, the refuse of the sesame or the olives, which is matmin b'davar mosif hevel, right? It's obviously doing no good because it's adds heat to the pot. Armella, so he said to her, lo tiyavdo, don't do that in the future. El kamera go kupta, put the pot into a box. Yavta kupta agifta, and put the box on top of the decomposing sesame rav. So that way there will be a heat source, but the heat source doesn't envelop it on all sides. Because this ravatmana is on all sides, it's only on one side, on the bottom it's okay. Alright? So the box will preserve the heat, but it's not fully insulating because the heat source is on the bottom.
So it's like
well, it's similar. It's not quite the same thing though, because there's no heat source at all, no fire, no. So it's, but I guess you can make it a similar concept. I'm Rabbi Zira, excuse me. Bahad Rabbi Chanina Polik. This argues a Rabbi Chanina. What did Rabbi Chanina say? Darsh Rabbi Achim Chanina, Rabbi Achim Chanina. Hagefes milamaton v'teven mikan osir. If you have a hot sesame or olive refuse on the bottom, and you have straw on the sides of the pot, then that's forbidden. Okay, it has to specifically be in a metal container, which is not insulating on the other sides. So you have the heat source on the bottom, the decomposing olives or sesame seeds, and then on the sides you have nothing other than the pot. But to put on the sides straw, on all the other sides straw, that's forbidden. And that is mamish the case of what urn covers, right? The urn covers where you have an urn which has a heat source on the bottom, and you cover on all the other sides with an insulating material. That is, of course, also because it's atmana. Okay? So that's the same idea as here. You put the decomposing peat on the bottom, and you put everything else on the sides. That's also, and there's similar cases. Says more, the truth is, umoyde by Rabbi Yanai. Rabbi Yanai did agree about this. What? Yeah. Okay? Umoyde by Rabbi Yanai. Rabbi Yanai concedes the point on this. The truth is, Rabbi Yanai also concedes on this. It should be not instead of achin, it should be achein. The Korban says achein boy. However, shaila is balulon. Mine. What happens if you mix and put on all sides instead of teven, right? Instead of teven on one side, teven on all sides, and the hot peat on the bottom. What happens if all around it you mix together straw and peat, right? The straw is not mostly hevel, doesn't add heat. The peat does. Can you do that? So nishmin me'adol. Let's start for the following case. Tonim b'ksusav and peiros v'kanfiyerna. One is allowed to put to be matmin, to insulate in clothing and in fruit and in the feathers of a dove. Rabbi Yosef ben Pazishim, Rabbi Yisrael said, the Tamar b'shulo rabas rakvu v'isa, and that's only if there's not a majority of decomposing material within these materials. However, if there's a majority of decomposing material within the fruit, right? You have rotting fruit. Rotting fruit is a heat source; it releases heat. So therefore, in that case, also lead movement, one is not allowed to use, say, fruit, which is decomposing. That's one satmana material. It's mixing with stuff which is not decomposing. So we see it's also, even if you mix together permissible substances with forbidden substances, it remains forbidden. Okay? Says more further, below bechol, you're not allowed to use sand. Says more, I don't stand in this something. You're implying that sand adds heat. Tamatim learned over there, Matilin also, you can put a mace, a dead corpse, lechol, on sand, b'shil shiamtin, in order to preserve it to Motzei Shabbos. So what do we see sand actually does? Meaning? It cools. Right, it cools, right? Because obviously that's what you wanted to do with the dead body. Says Mara, you should understand the scientific nature of sand. That sand, it can cause to enhance boiling, or and or it can cause to cool down. It's similar in this respect to straw. And teven, straw is like a bapikotanu. It's like a bapikot is something who receives an object for safekeeping, right? Just like you give to it, who yoav lach, it gives back to you. In other words, it will reflect wherever it's put into it, heat or cold. Okay? Says the Gemara, cold over shemarchikin. Anything which in Bava Basra it says I can't store next to my friend's wall. Why? Because it's going to damage his wall. Also, you can't do atmana. How is it going to damage his wall? Because it's decomposing. As it's decomposing like a compost pile, right? As it's decomposing, it's sending off heat, and the heat is damaging from my friend's wall. Okay? Rabbi Yosef said, and vice versa is true as well. From that which it says in our Mishnah, in several places, that a certain material you can use for Admara. So we learn that from this material you don't have to distance it from a wall. Hey, see Rabbi Chagai asked, Vatani, didn't we say, how can you say the principle is true across the board? Then we learn Vatani, HaMaskir Ba'isel Chaveiro Lo Yasu En Laisenu Otzer Shel Tvua. Somebody who rents his house to his friend should not make it into a warehouse of grain. That's not a proper use of the rented house unless he gets express permission. Laida Mila, why is this true? Laida Mila means Le'ezeh Davar, right? Why is this true that you're not allowed to rent it? The renter, the tenant, cannot fill it full of grain. It must be Loinech Hamot. It's not, I think it's true, it's supposed to be, no, it should be Chimutz.
The Rosh writes.
I think it's Chimutz.
Didn't we have something yesterday?
Is Frank in
A mitzvah or something?
Afisa. That's something else. This I think it's chimutz because fermentation is going to cause heat. Hamot itself literally means the chaff, but that doesn't make sense. I think it's supposed to be chimutz. It means there must be an allowed to store grain in his house because it's going to ferment and release heat and damage the walls. So we see here that the tavua, the grain, which you can use in order to do atmana, you cannot use and put in your friend's house, right? So they're not similar, right? So it says more, no, they're similar. The reason why you can't store the grain in his house because the mice are going to come, not because of the heat which is itself it releases. So it says if it's an issue of mice, it's to say throughout any foodstuff, right? In a warehouse. Have why it's pick out specifically grain. Have a yos kash Rabbi Chagai means Rabbi Chagai asked a good question. So the words take it should be mentioning any grain, any substance. It's mentioned specifically grain. So the indication is that we have a specific question by grain because grain does release heat. Okay. Name it's good kasha, but we don't answer it because it's Yerushalmi. Okay? Asiv Rabbi Simi. Rabbi Simi asked, so it says that stones, you have to keep away from your friend's wall. Is it forbidden to do atmana and stones? So it says more, no. Rabbi Yosef said, Lo shasloi martichim. The stones don't get hot. Ella, however, shein osin chalula, they crumble. And when they crumble, literally means they make rust, but here it means crumble. And they crumble, and when they crumble, a malkin arisol shokosel, the crumbling stone is what damages the wall. So therefore, you're right there. It's not an issue of heat. There's an issue of crumbling stone. Says the Gemara, wait a minute. Very malkin arisol shokosel, it damages the wall of the floor of the wall. But I ask, when didn't we learn ain't only misloim? You're not allowed to water in rocks. What's that talking about? He put the Misloim case is talking about silver or rocks. I'm throwing in ore, but it could be silver rocks. So why silver rocks? It seems that they release more heat. Silver releases heat. Says the Gemara, in tani I'm sorry. Tani. There's one bride that says you are allowed to use stones. These tani ain't them. In other words, says you're not allowed to use stones. Rav Chisra who said mandamar toni, and the bride which says you can't be tomain. It's talking about b'shol it's talking about gold and copper which do not diminish or do not get eroded over time. Mandamar toni, the slime who says you're allowed to atmona in slime is b'slime shel kesef. I'm sorry, mandamar ain't tomnim. One says again, for some reason which I don't understand, silver gives us more heat than gold and any other metal. Says Gemara, lo sof davar lachim. When all those materials which we forbid doing atmana in when they're moist, which is several materials mentioned in the Mishnah, it's not when they were moist from the get-go. I feel Yevesh, even at one point they were dry, and then they got moist. Then they are considered to be suitable to be a pram by atmona. How we know that? Minel and mukin, right? From mukin, which are pieces of material made out of I think it's wool. So mukin loki v'eshes they can't make that wool until they actually moisten it. So we see that even though it was dry to begin with, as long as later on you moisten it, that's enough to make it suitable to be makabel tuma. Rabbi Yochanan Bar Shila said, Hadamra, this teaches us, hey, Hey, the kamer, a person who's doing atmona in one of those things which now is dry, but if they get wet, it's going to be problematic. Because this halacha, he has to leave his pot a little bit less full. Why? Because otherwise he doesn't leave a little bit less full. When he picks it up, he's going to pour on the thing which he did atmona. Marta going to cause it to boil and exude heat or radiate heat as opposed to gathering heat, and that'll be a problem. Okay? Says more Tamatznina. We learned over there, Cain begevis chadosha, that all this is true. Whatever it's about there about Tuman Tarim Sechta Kelim, by a new gefes, by new sesame seed or olive oil, more peat. Ava b'yashana, but old olive peat or old sesame peat, mutzator. That's okay. It's not a problem of Tuman Tarim. Ezi chadash v'ezi yashana, what's considered to be new, what's old? Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Bun said b'shem Rabbi Yossi or b'shem Rabbi Yehuda, I don't know which. Chadsha b'soch yud beishana. Chadash b'soch yud beishana. New is considered within the past 12 months. The train soch yud beis chodesh. Within the past 12 months. Yashana, old is considered lachar yud beis chodesh. It's after 12 months. So what happens when it gets old? What can you do with it when it gets old? It gets fully dry. So what happens when you do with it when it gets fully dry? You use it for atmana. Right, and we're not afraid because it's already fully decomposed. Right, exactly. Okay, so therefore it's not considered to be a problem anymore. You can use fruit and all that, this kind of stuff. Right? That's only if there isn't a majority there is a majority of decomposing fruit. If there's a majority of decomposing fruit, also you're not allowed to do atmana in the fruit. Okay? We said you're allowed to do atmana in sorshel charosh, in the sawdust of craftsmen. Anatina nesores. We learned the word is proper in etymology is nesores. Tani dveim Rebbe neores. Now Rebbe they said neores. But you should know that they're both the same thing. They're just the question of whether it's an ayin or a sameh, but they're both the same material. They're like sawdust or something like that. Okay? Halacha base. Tomni b'shlachin. When it's allowed to atmana in hide, you're allowed to carry them. Because it's allowed to atmana in strips of wool, but they're not suitable for anything right now on Shabbos, so if you can't carry them in the muktzah. Ketzaro said, what do you do? Notice akisu, if you want to be matmin in strips of wool, so you take off the cover of the pot, which is underneath the insulation, and they'll fall on their own accord, which is what kind of tiltul? I mean, that's not right. Okay? You can put the whole basket on its side and put it back and pour it out. And but you shouldn't take it out altogether because then you might not be able to put it back. According to halacha, says you can't take it and put it back, so he passes on. Okay. Says more further. Rabbi Yehuda ben Pazim Shem Yenis said, that which he said you're allowed to, but it's a mitzvah by so you say allowed to use hide. Atmanas when they are by the Baal Bos at home. However, Abba ben Oseyan, but vis-a-vis his daughters, I'm an Sunni. Sorry, the Sunni a little bit though. But in the case where they are given over, designated, or they're given over to a warehouse. So then they're not considered to be properly designated for Shabbos, and you can't use them to do Akmona. Which leads us into the Pandora box of our sugya, which is going to talk about all the things which need designation in order to be suitable to use Akmona on Shabbos. Why don't designate them? What are they? Not? What? Not Kalim. They're not Kalim, right? So therefore you can't use them. Says more big gizay tzemel ein metatolina vovoison. You're allowed to do atmana and strips of wool, but you can't carry them. So it says more, the truth is the Mishnah is misleading. Rabbi Yochanan said, the time of that, so it should be listening when they're in the same project together. I'm assuming it's a ba'abayis, but if they're not in the same project, so separate them. Okay? And you don't have to pay them.
Therefore, there's no reason to say that it should make it become a 4 amos outside. The muchar compared no relationship with shiur malachama. Got the chutz there and talks about
I don't know. I just said it's nonsense. I don't. Obviously, just a product of a tired mind. But what I meant to say is that where you have the gizei tzemer in a warehouse, then now our mission is about where the gizei tzemer in a warehouse, and that's what makes a muktzah. So after you did Atmon and Erev Shabbos, you can't move them on Shabbos. That's because they were not poitikeh from before Shabbos. But where they were by you in the house, and we had some other use to them, like basis trivets or pot holders or something. So then you're allowed to move them around what to do Atmon with them on Shabbos as well. Okay? Rabbi Yerushalmi Rav said, Persi Machtel Sagabe Shaifos. Now here I have a tangent which is peripherally related, which is something which we did have in the Bavli also, not a major sugya, but are you allowed to put a tarp on muktzah in order to protect the muktzah on Shabbos? So Rabbi Yirmiyah says you are. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, remember, in Vato Kli Me'echon is only where you can't move the keli afterwards, right? Where it's underneath the muktzah, right? The muktzah is now fallen into the keli. But where there's a shepherd child, which is discussed here, whether you're allowed to use something, a tarp or some sort of other protection to protect the muktzah keli. Okay. Yeah, at the end of Shabbos. Yeah, that's right. So Rabbi Yirmiyah says yes. Rabbi Yerushalmi Rav says, "Porsi machtel zagabe shayfel shavani." You can put a tarp on top of rows of bricks b'Shabbos. Rabbi Shimon said, "Ani lo shamati me'abba." I didn't hear this from my father. However, it's a good woman's Gemara. Reason number one to learn Shas with women. We never had one before. Achoisi omra li mishmoi. My sister told me over in the name of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Okay? In other words, Shimon Rebbe is quoting his sister. I'm halacha here, right? What's the halacha? So here's our Vaibisha halacha. Beitza shnodim yontif. If you have an egg which is laid on a yontif, soim chila b'shushalo disgalgel. When it's allowed to put a keli next to it, or put something similar keli, allowed to put a vessel next to it in order that it shouldn't roll away. You cannot put a keli on top of it. That's too much protection that we do not allow you to do on Shabbos or Yom Tov. Now, of course, it's a woman said this over. Shmuel argues. Shmuel Amar Kovin is a keli allowed to put a keli on top of it. As long as the keli which you put on top of it doesn't touch the actual egg. So Korban Eder brings two reasons why it shouldn't touch the actual egg. Either because eggs are wobbly, and you'll be moving muktzah if you actually put it on top right next to the egg, or because you can't protect muktzah in such an intimate fashion. Okay? Tana Rabbi Yisrael said, "Nachil shadvorin," a swarm of bees. Personally, slave nachama mimnei achama. You're doing this in order to protect them. You have to put them a sheet in the sun because of the sun. And in the winter, in the rain, because of the because of the rain. Ask what Mark Rav was that what's it like? Well, I'm going to attribute this my way. I didn't like anybody I saw, but this is a little bit like the Mashbiach, but not even like the Mashbiach. I'm going to throw in one word: Mark Rav, Mark Shmuel. What's Allah? How do you work this according to Rav, and how do you work this according to Shmuel? So I threw in a second ma. It says Markami Lamal, and according to Shmuel, according to Ramon, it has to be the tarp has to be above the object being protected, not adhering tightly to it. Kami lamata means below. Below here means not below the object, but adhering tightly to the object. Because Ramona is saying now to put the keli tightly adhering to the egg, right? That's Ramona and Shmuel. Rav said you're allowed to, or Rav didn't show any distinction. So that's what Gemara is saying. According to Rav, you're allowed to put it even lamata, even tightly on top of the keli. According to Shmuel, only lamao, only loosely and above the keli. Okay? Says my Rabbi Bista b'shem Rabbi Yisrael Chanina said. I skip. No, I didn't. Abisam Shem said Chafi Lusutos. Nobody knows what Chafi Lusutos are. I could just go on and tell you nobody knows. But I will tell you that the Kulin Hashas calls them covers of loads on a ship. And the problem the book is more mukta machmas chesron kis. These tarps are not moved for anything other than the cargo in the ship. So everyone can use them for any other purpose. So it says more Chafi Lusutos also the talk now it's carry them for any other purpose. Period. Now Kamaisa Mitzito Mitzadasa have a prisa. He says they were traps. The carbonator. They were traps hanging, and they were getting ruined by the sun. Okay, they're getting burned in the sun. Asu shalu lurav. So they came and asked Rav Malmut also, can I carry them? So he said, if you thought about them, these traps, to use as pillows under your head, then you're allowed to carry them because they're designated for their purpose, otherwise you're not allowed to carry them. Okay? Yerushalmi said, the heads of beams, which you thought about from yesterday, you're allowed to carry them. Rabbi Yossi they went to the base medrash of the son of Ula to have a Rava Tamon. I don't know what Rava means. He brings down the name Ocean Carbonator, bring down some shatim. Carbonator says there was a beam of wood there. I don't know why that's relevant. What is relevant is that they wanted to know whether they could use the Rosh Klunsos, the heads of beams, in order to fill up the base medrash on Shabbos. So he said, what? What's the first word of the line? Rava Taman. V'Rava Taman Rosh Klunsos. So there was wood there, and there was the top of the top of the beams there. Aser Sholei Malu Talas. They came and asked, can we carry them? So he said, so if you designated from yesterday, Mutzah Talas, you're allowed to carry them. If not, you're not allowed to carry them. Okay, so you see that's being Mina Muchan. Tiny Rav Chalaf Shol said, if you thought to use a certain type of rag from before Friday, you're allowed to carry it. Rabbi Yisrael Shol ben Tzabor said, I'm sorry. Tiny Yisrael Shol, comma, Tzabor Shol Karos, a bundle full of wood, which you designated from yesterday, Mutzah Tal, you're allowed to carry it on Shabbos. Rabbi Yosef Chanina and Rabbi Chanina Shmuel Rabbi Yaakov Barak and Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi Chanina b'shem Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Yossi said, Abba Tati Shalchava was a tanner. V'hoya Eimer Lana used to say to us, Kishlachem Roshei Kozios. All you have to do is tie a little bit of a knot symbolically on the top of a strip of leather in order to make it suitable to use on Shabbos. By the time you can use there's no muktzah problem. You need to make just a little knot, a little enhancement in it. Now nobody knows what malon means. So what do I think malon means? What do you think malon means?
Well, the opposite of the other just said.
Which means?
He said tie it. He said occasional tie. Probably fill them up with. No?
That's not bad. I like that. That's not what I thought. I thought the opposite in the other direction. You say malon means filled with ties. With what? What word is similar to malon? What word is similar to malon?
Like that.
No, that's true. That is similar. Milin.
Oh, milin.
What do milin mean? Words, right. And what he's saying is you don't need to have a maisa, you just need to have a verbal designation. That's how I understood it. Because that's really what we said till now. For verbal designation is sufficient. You don't have to tie anything. Okay? Rav Amar Charoyo Shagidon. If Yeah, I guess it's what is like you. I mean, I didn't. It's one big knot. Yeah, but it means more expansive. All right. I like my pshat better, of course. I know this comes as a shock to you. Rav said, I mean, sometimes when you look at the Yerushalmi, you see how everybody on one page gives a different shot. So it emboldens you and makes you feel, hey, why can't I might say my shot too? Rav Amar, you have now these are lulavim, but in advanced stages. You know, lulav, after you left it on the tree, it would fan out, right? Become like a fan, right? So that's what we're talking about here. You took them off the tree in order to make them into mats or hammocks of some sort. Excuse me. You don't have to tie the leaves together. Right, the leaves should have spread apart. You don't have to tie them together. Lolin, if you designate for the purpose of using for as a cover of a tent, so for some reason svichos kishri you have to tie together. Now, Rav Abba Bar Chanamar ben l'shchiva ben l'olin, whatever it says for it, it's svichos kishri. It has to be tied. On Rav Chizkiah said v'lo dam kishared the Rav ba'olin. There's no comparison to the amount of tie which you need in order to make something into an OL, in order to make these into OL. To the knots which Rav Abba Bar Chana needed in order to make the kalim. It seems it's much easier to make them into kalim than it is to make it into olim. I don't know exactly why. I'm not sure. There's some what the mechanics of it is. But it says the Gemara is explaining somewhere. Kishur the Rab Baalin Achikshor Kol Koitzim. In order to make a tent out of it, you have to tie together all the kotzim here, not real thorns because it's from a palm tree, but rather all the sharp leaves have to be tied down. Kishur the Rabba Bar Chana said, the kalim,
You have to pay them for the whole day.
if you want to make it to the vessel, you need much less of a tie. Achilim Torah clean until it looks like a keli, which doesn't require tying as tightly. It says if you want to say you have to tie down all the thorns, meaning all the sharp branches, of course that's a ma'isa. We're not that machmir, even less of a ma'isa is good enough. Rabbi Yaakov Aridi said, B'Shem Rabbi Yonasan said, a little bit of musar. Person should never refrain from going to base medrash. Many times the question was asked in the Yavne, what do you do with the charoyo shel dekel in order to be able to use them on Shabbos? This is a high issue of the day. You know, they didn't have presidential scandals back then. So that's what the issue was, right? So several times they asked the base medrash, what do you do? And they didn't have, one day they finally came out with an answer, which was the answer over here. That depends whether it's intended to make tents or intended to make kalim. Areva Sayard. Because you can never tell what time you'll be in the base medrash when it'll actually be answered. Which time will be answered. Okay. Areva Sayard in Lami Tmeah. Why is a boat in the Jordan River Tomei? We know it's Tomei. Yeah, we know that the Gemara brings down in several places, at least one place, that a boat is always tar, right? Because we say the boat is like the water, the Pnei Moshe brings it down. I mean, the Korean brings it down. A boat which is in the water is not matame. So it says the Gemara, because you're full of fruit. But that's not what's critical. What's critical is you actually take these little Jordan River boats and take them off the shore into the river, and off the river into the shore. So therefore they have to be light enough to be carried. So they have to be light enough to be carried, that means they're suitable mikabel tuma, right? V'od davar acher dorash, and he had another dorash. We've already brought this down, because he also darshan that no matter what you're designated for, you have to actually tie it. Verbal decorations, first of course, not a not. Hey, Siva, now getting back to the boat issue. So they asked the Kasha in the diet of the Ashkelon, what about the boats in Ashkelon, which they also move around, yet are not never said to be makabel tuma. It's different. They never take them out of the sea. They unload them, partially docked, but not fully docked. So therefore, they never made to transport objects on dry land, right? Says the Gemara, Asya the Rabbi Bar Chana, Rabbi Bar Chana goes to Rabbi Chanin. I forgot Rabbi Bar Chana says. I don't remember what he said.
Time you plowed it, it would not take 2 days. It would take less than 2. Since it's not going to end up in a whole day increment, then the person is
The
going
oven
to
in is
But let's say
the oven in is the
and one day to plow the second time. So you're going to have to hire the guy for 2 full days the first
The
time.
oven in.
Did you find him yet?
It's not
It's not proper.
because the person might pay within 30 days if it was down.
So if you
Or Milson or something like.
I don't know, maybe it's just a name which we knew was like Rabbi Chia, the Chanina. Because that's about to see. The Mar Rabbi Chanina said, only Ma'inu in Rabbi Level Chamas Gror. We used to go to Rabbi the Chamas Gror, which is a bath resort. Vayom Milan, he said, Zembachur Lachem Chokei Abonim. Choose for yourselves smooth stones from Erev Shabbos. The next day, even though you didn't do anything, then we were allowed to carry them. We had that already when we learned that. Where was on Shabbos Kuf Chavayim of base. Okay, we're again towards the end of Sechta in the Yerushalmi in the Babli. Rabbi Zira Mar Achi Akardim. It's not enough verbal designate.
The rocks to sit on.
Right, the rocks to sit on. Right, you remember the case of the Babli, right? Rabbi Zira said, Amar Ad Shikardim. You have to actually do something to them, do some meiser to shape them. Chavrayim Me'achi Shavshev, you have to polish them, which is even more, because that means now that you shape them, you also polish them, which is their Gemar Malacha. The Tziporayim, in Tzipor they say you need much less until you have a mental designation. You have to actually give them the shape of a vessel. So we come out saying, Rachana Barav and Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yitzchak, they have one shita. Rabbi Zero Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi, they have another shita. Sipor Rabbi Yossi ben Shor and Chlafta ben Shol, they have another shita. Chavraya Leislen Zug. Now beholds like the Chavim we just learned, or Machmer, that you require actually rubbing of the object. Okay, but so I don't know what to do with you. Yeah. We finished the lot.
We did?
We did.
Finished
But I guess was not prepared any further. But we'll try for it.
I could reason why the Jordan, the Yarden is tunnel, or has the boats.
Yeah, but it's not. It's only the boats.
It's only the boats. It's
Only
not
the
the
boats.
fact that the
It's not the fact that-
Yarden is Tuma because it's
No, but it's not. Everyone is not too.
Bnei Reuven. Reuven and
Yeah, Bnei Reuven and God Reuven got Chatzishay Menashe.
That was further. That was north. That was all the way
All the way down the Jordan. Yeah. That's why the Eitzel theme song is Ashtei Gedot HaYarden. Okay. All right. Very good. I'm impressed that you knew it. All right. That I don't know. I just know the word. The Bronx, they used to sing it with different kavanas. All right. So that's the Mishnah further. All right, we'll wing it to the end. We'll try to wing it to the end of the parak. If you didn't cover the pot from before Shabbos, you can't cover the pot with insulation after Shabbos begins, even if it's not mostly fevel. If however got revealed inadvertently on Shabbos, you cover it before Shabbos, got revealed inadvertently, you'll have to cover it over again. You're allowed to fill up a pot. This is for to maintain its cold. You'll have to put something under your pillow or blanket in order to maintain its cold temperature. We had this already for the. Oh, this is easy because we had it already by the halacha of kira, right? By the halacha of shehiyah, right? Leaving something on a stove, right? So the same thing here we have by atmana. Another people, if you took it out of that atmana place before Shabbos began, you could put it back. Another mishcha if you took it after dark, machziro mishcha put it back after dark. Another people, you took it from before Shabbos began, and then Shabbos began. What's the halacha then? If it's in your hand when Shabbos began, not in that atmana location. Right, Bob Sharayuda said, if the whole got ruined, even if it's not a muktzah material. If the hole, the depression where you put it, got ruined, asur, you're not allowed to put it back. Okay? Says the Gemara. Umikira l'kira muter. You're allowed to take a pot from one oven. Where did she put it to another oven? That's the same principle we have by moving stuff around, not a blech, as long as they're both gar for kotum, I assume. Says the Gemara, how do we know this? Because Minahuda Mar, this also we had already. Minahuda Mar, Rabbi Lezer, B'Shem, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Lezer, name Rabbi Yeshua, Mishal Sisis, Rabbi Chia Godel, I was a mass servant by Rabbi Chia Godel. Vaisi Malu Chama, he used to bring him hot water. Midyuti Atachtoino, Lidyuti Elyoina, from the lower floor to the upper floor. He used to cool down in the way. And I would still put it back on the stove. So we see you're allowed to move from stove to stove, just like you're allowed. Probably no, we had it early in the Yerushalmi. Yeah, maybe it's something similar. Probably it did have early in the Yerushalmi. Yeah, in Kira.
As long as you don't put it down, though.
Right, as long as you don't put it down, right. Umar Rabbi Yirmiyah, Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda said like Rabbi Shimon. Who's Rabbi Shimon? He changed the girsa. The Kohen says Mar Rabbi Yehuda ber Rabbi Shimon, the son of Rabbi Shimon, because there's no Rabbi Shimon being discussed in the sugya. Okay. Umar Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Shimon. I feel mikir shiv lemud, even from a kira, from a stove which has less heat. L'kir shav Let me just change this. I feel mikir shav lemud, even from which has small heat. L'kir Shabbos is forbidden. Mitmina l'kir aser. Take something from atmona, put it on the stove is aser. Mitmina l'tmina tzvicha. Right? From tmina l'tmina, I don't know. Right? Tzvicha teku. Right? Niskala mibad yom chaseyu mibad yom. If it got revealed from before Shabbos, again, he can close it again for Shabbos. If he got revealed from before, from after dark, he can cover it after dark. If he got revealed before Shabbos, before he managed to cover it again, it became Shabbos. What's the halacha? So Tani, we learned what is not allowed to do hatmana to begin with from after dark. But you can add on to that hatmana if your hatmana was already done. So what do we learn from this? That you can do it. Yeah, but what it got revealed inadvertently. I guess we're referring that if you even came revealed from before Shabbos, since you tried your best and inadvertently got revealed, you can cover it again after Shabbos begins. Okay, that's our similarity. How much of atmana do you have to have from before Shabbos begins in order to continue adding on Shabbos, right? Because you just say you're allowed to add on. Says Rabbi even a single cloth, which obviously is not going to maintain the heat very well. Once you have that cloth on before Shabbos, so on Shabbos you can add on more cloths and more blankets and so on and so forth. As long as that initial cloth is something which, is substantial, does something to preserve the heat, even a minimal amount. Everything works a little bit. Rabbi Chanani, yeah, of course. I'm Rabbi Masya. It's right. It's good. If somebody takes a rag, and puts it on his head, in a time when it's cold out, doesn't it diminish the cold? Or even a little rag on your head does something. Okay? Boy, this is an exhilarating feeling. I can even wing Yerushalmi. I've never done this before. Just like you can't do atmana on hot water from after dark, you can't do atmana even on cold after dark. Revi mater, readers mater, we talk about Pasman Lanter. Even on Shabbos, you can take something cold and put it under pillows and blankets to preserve its coldness. Hey, Sir Shmuel Barabba, ala dog kadmai. So Shmuel Barabba asked on the first case, on a Tanakama, meaning from our Mishnah. But time Aliyah Sakiton Shemaim, it tells the carbon, tells the gases. It says explicitly our Mishnah you're allowed to cool something down on Shabbos, right? Like keep it, preserve its cold. Ela Rebbe. It must be our Mishnah like Rebbe. The Rebbe Matir. The Rebbe says it's mutter, right? And not like Rabbanan. Says well, no. Could be that our Mishnah is kan l'shos. Could be that our Mishnah is talking about temporarily. Our Mishnah, which could be Tanakam could say Mishnah also goes like me. And normally it's and now it says it's also to be matmin tzonein on Shabbos is only tzonein where you're doing it for a substantial amount of time. If you're doing it for a temporary amount of time, kan l'shah, they allow it to be matmin tzonein on Shabbos, and that's what our Mishnah is talking about. Temporarily, not for a sustainable duration. Yeah. On Shabbos? Also. Only from before Shabbos.
So, like, if you have something, like putting a towel on something.
On Shabbos?
On Shabbos.
Also. Yeah. All right. Great. Is that Laman Aleph? I think it's actually tonight's blood, isn't it?
Could be.
Let's assuming that today's Yud Zayin still. Yud Zayin here.
Are we staying here or going downstairs?
Here.
Like, yeah, here. Good point.
I'm not. Okay.